Welcome to another session of YEV, and we're talking about how to save money charging your EV, whether you've got a driveway or not, or even if you live in a flat. So I thought it'd be really interesting to have Seb or Sebastian Fleischhacker. Hopefully I've pronounced that right, because Seb is very much in the EV world, and I think we're going to have a really good chat about this. So Seb, obviously we've got Alex with us, Alex Grant. And unfortunately, Kevin is enjoying Carfest today, so he's not with us. But Seb, do you want to give an intro to the YEV fan base, and we'll go from there?
Yeah, so I'm Sebastian. I am not British. I'm half German, half Argentinian, speak 6 languages. Have been in the EV world for about 10 years, which means that I was one of the first to have an EV here in Spain. Here in Spain, there was no customer support for my Renault Zoe, so I had to get into the British EV scene very quickly through the Renault Zoe Owners Club in Britain with Craig. And from there, I suddenly got to know a lot of people. And this materialized and showed its effects as I visited professionally the fully charged store for the first time with my former company, with the sales director for the country, and suddenly he said, "Hey, stop it!" Because I said, "Oh, I know this guy. Oh, I know that guy. Oh, I know this person. Hey, let me introduce you to everybody." And he was like, "Okay, from now on, you go to every year's fully charged show with me."
It's good. It's good to have that kind of knowing people in the field, because we can help each other. And this is really important. And this is what we like to do with Chargeheads and with YEV, is to help people with the knowledge. So people, whether it's saving money on buying a car, saving money on charging, and just understanding, and not necessarily educating, I don't like that word, but just sharing that knowledge, essentially. So as I said, today we're going to be talking about how to save money charging your EV. As the guys will know, and people who watch the channel and people who've got an EV, or maybe if they don't have an EV, it can be expensive to run an electric vehicle. And in some cases, it can be more expensive than actually running a petrol or diesel car. So finding out this knowledge to save money is so important, so vital. So obviously, the easy way, as the guys will know, and a lot of people will know, is if you've got your driveway and you have an overnight rate, you can benefit from 6 to 7 pence per kilowatt hour and charge your electric, whether it's an ID3, Tesla, Polestar, what have you, for as cheap as £4 to do 250 plus miles. So what I wanted to understand from Seb is his knowledge and extracting that information to find out what the other routes to, whether it's benefiting from having a charger at home, because I know that you're in that area as well, and how people can save money on charging. So Seb, where would you like to start with this?
I would start by shocking you that in the last 10 years, I only have spent 97 euros. Why? Because you can save money by using the ignorance about charging from others. So it's not that I'm the bad guy here, but I worked for very long in charge point management solutions, trying to bring charge point management solutions to the different municipalities, etc. But they were afraid, or they only had one person working in the electricity part 1 day per week. So, for example, my own town here in northern Barcelona, San Feliu de Codines, in the middle of the mountains. I've been trying for 5 years to speak with the 2 mayors to get them charging. Now, finally, we have charging. I helped to get it better because they were making some weird choices. And I said, no. You need to do this, that other thing. I even got ourselves an extra year of warranty because the installation was done at the limit. So how to get cheaper charging? Well, if you happen to be in the 68% of the people living in flats in Spain, which is one of the highest in the whole of Europe, of population living in flats, you have a problem. and you have a disadvantage. But I never cared about that disadvantage, bought the EV anyways, and just said to my employer, hey, I'm going to save 2 emails for later, or I studying this case study for later because I need to go charging on the way home. And I parked at the shopping center the first year and charged there. And then went there and used the time of charging to do other things. We EV drivers are very knowledgeable about or very conscious about time. Oh no, I don't want to spend 2 hours, or hey, it's ridiculous. Why would I go there? Well, I don't wait for charging. I have to do my phone calls, or I do prospection work. I work on a presentation, although I hate presentations, or write emails. I don't wait. I increase my productivity through charging. So how do we get to the part of charging cheaper? Yes, of course. If 83% of the time your car is parked at your house, if we understand that cars are used or in movement, it's a funny way. In Germany we say Fahrzeug to vehicle, the driving thing. Now with charging, we found out it's not a driving thing, it's a Stehzeug, it's a standing thing. So where better to charge your car than where it is standing for 92% of the day, right? And if 83% of the time the car is parked at home, well, if you have the possibility to charge at home, charge it at home, because you have time of use tariffs, because you have the luck in the UK that your VAT at home is cheaper. Let's see how that develops in the future. But there are plenty of options to charge on the way. Go to your gym, choose the supermarket that wants your loyalty most. If I have 2 supermarkets and one offers me better charging than the other, I'm sorry, I will go to the second supermarket and say, hey, I'm not coming anymore. To the boss of that store, I'm not coming anymore because your chargers are crap. I'm sorry, not going to see you anymore. I'm going to that supermarket because that supermarket gives me 30 minutes of 21 kilowatts charging. So bye-bye. And I make it very clear on Google reviews, on whatever. I will attack them and say, here, you're losing a customer. You can have it on a gym. You can go to restaurants that have charging. You can, hotels, for example. Since I have an EV, I can spend here in Spain, in my vacations, the price of an extra star at a hotel because that hotel exists. The rest of the hotels, they stopped existing. They are invisible to me. And I tell them, hey, I would have wanted to come to your hotel, but I'm sorry, you have no chargers. Do you want a solution for that? Because in my consultancy, I can help you with that. You don't want them? Don't worry, I'm not going to bother you anymore. I have been working in EV myth busting for over 10 years. Yeah, I grew tired sometimes of responding to some things. We have the list of myths that were created in the early years and that kept on repeating until the day of today, without noticing that we are in the 3rd or 4th or even 5th generation of batteries. Battery management solutions systems have changed. Chargers that were crappy back 10 years ago right now either stopped existing or they made their homework and now are good. Right? So did I answer your question? I think not.
No, it was good to hear. It was good to hear all of that, to be honest. And it's interesting to hear that you are attacking those particular those destinations where they could have a destination charger where you are dwelling. So, and I think there is a large amount of people with electric cars now. So and that volume speaks volumes, doesn't it? Because if people aren't visiting hotels, supermarkets, etc., because of that particular reason, then that is very compelling for them to not only put chargers in there that work, that are at a decent speed, but price. And I want to focus on price today. So from my point of view, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here, Seb, I tend to go to Lidl's or Aldi to save money. We always do the list before we go. So, because in the UK, things are getting so expensive. And we just have to prepare. So none of the supermarkets near me, not a single one, have charging. Although Tesco's do. They used to have free charging and now they charge for it. But I don't go there because Tesco's is actually more expensive. So even if I were to save money on charging, you got to think about the supermarket price as well, of course. So what other solutions do you think there are? Because obviously when you're charging it, whether it's supermarkets, so Sainsbury's in the UK, they have some of the sites. Luton, for example, they've got some really good Chem Power chargers. But I'm pretty sure that they charge a fairly hefty amount for them. You're talking probably 70 to 85 pence because they need to pay for the charging infrastructure and all that. You're shaking your head. What's up, Seb?
The problem with pricing it so high is, and we have a particular case this week or last week where the anti-monopoly body of Italy just fined 2.3 million euros to Enel, the main EMSP. We have a similar situation.
Just for everybody else out there, what's the EMSP?
Not EMSP, Enel. What did I say? I think EMSP is wrong. It's a CPO. Like the main charge point operator of the country, and
Offspring.
Exactly.
Just to explain to people. That's all.
Exactly. Imagine the number one CPO has been fined 2.3 million because of unfair competence. So if you don't play in a fair playing field, well then you destroy the market, you destroy the wish for others to build infrastructure for you. So if infrastructure doesn't work for somebody, then guess what? Your funny EV driving will have an end as well. So it needs to work for both, for you and for the charge point operator. I started by being very critic and why is it not working? It should be working properly. And then after 2 years, I was part of an NGO that was pushing sustainable mobility. But it got to a point where I said to myself, criticizing is fine. Now, why don't we get behind the walls of these companies and understand why things are not working properly? And this is how I got into e-mobility. And then you start looking, okay, from an app or RFID, from an EMSP. So let's explain EMSP. An electric mobility service provider is the counterpart in the e-mobility ecosystem. So charge point operators operate their chargers, and the EMSPs are focused on the EV driver to bring the best user experience, to find the best chargers, to help in identification, in the payment flows. What else? If they're good, they find loyalty measures to increase you going to certain places, but there needs to be a balance there. Okay, so and it's not the case of the UK. So the UK,
like a Monta and a Power and a Right Charge and those type of companies, like the people, the systems that sit like the back office systems. Is that what we're talking about here?
No. A back office system can be a back office system for the app or a back office system for the CPMS, the charge point management solution. There are charge point management solutions that have their own EMSP. So it's the light switch and the light bulb, right? There are plenty of charge point operators that only use their own solution to activate the chargers, right? A bit dumb because the app will not be of the pleasure or the liking of everybody. a bit bad, because maybe your CPO started in a territory and an app or a card from another region of the country is great, which could attract a lot of users to you. But that roaming part is not very well solved in the UK. In the UK, I have the feeling that I have been hammering that idea for the last 5 years. And some months ago in November, I think, there was a legislation regarding roaming. 3 months prior, there was that same legislation that went live for the United States. The United States helped the UK catch up and say, hey, okay, come on, we need to do something. At least we need to say we're doing something, because then there are the beautiful legal loopholes that are used in the UK, where then they say, oh, you don't need to roam with everybody, or you don't need to have roaming that gives access to everybody, or you don't need to have fair pricing. Discriminatory access is what happens in the UK. That is forbidden in France.
So you don't think that there's fair pricing in the UK? Is that what you're getting at? Sorry.
There's not fair pricing, and there is not an interest in having EMSPs helping to bring users to the CPOs. There is no interest. There are great, gigantic, big ones, but even ZapMap is not connected to all CPOs, are they?
But is that partially a regulation thing in the UK? Because obviously we've got the charge point regulations, which you alluded to earlier, where you on a DC charger. I mean, I know there's obviously a large number, tens of thousands of AC chargers, but on the DC front, you have to have that kind of contactless access. You've got to have that on quite a lot of AC ones now as well.
That one. Let me just stop you there. That one is it? No. Just because I don't want to interrupt your train of thought. That thing is a copy of the AFIR regulation, which is the alternative fuel regulation in Europe, which mandates that above 49 kilowatts, you need to have a payment terminal. That is one thing. But please go on. The rest of what you were.
No, I just mean in terms of having like a. From a regulatory standpoint, I know there's roaming requirements. I think you've got to have you've got to have compatibility with 2 roaming partners by I think it's this November, isn't it? The deadline on it. Has that been allowed to move slow because the government's gone, look, you need to have contactless on everything. You've got to have like membership free. Do you think that's kind of delayed things?
You have one particular good thing in the UK is that you like to go cashless to avoid money going under the table, behind the table, or we're going to solve it like this and that. It's a common thing here in Southern Europe. And in Germany, where there are some places where I feel ashamed to go. Last time I went to Munich, I think. Yes, last time I went to Munich, I had to walk about 1 hour to find an ATM because nobody wanted to accept my cards to pay for money. My sister happens to live in Germany. I called her and said, what's going on with this country? What's happening? Oh, no, go to Lidl, buy whatever, but then ask them to get another 10 or 20 from you, so they give that money in cash. But that cannot be like dinner places, pizza places, places to get sandwiches. I was walking around the hotel for almost an hour and couldn't find one place where to use the card. You guys, on the other side, you use cards for everything, and you allow for the usage of card everywhere. But there's a big difference between using a card commercially in a store and using it on chargers. Because when you use it on chargers, there are another 1, 2, or 3 additional middlemen that want to have a piece of the cake. And when they want to have a piece of the cake, and everybody cheerleads the payment terminals, what happens is that in the long term, the kilowatt hour for everybody is going to be more expensive because it's more convenient. I don't think so. Before that, banks have not been interested in the euro, 9 euro, 10 euro, 20 euro transactions from charging. That's just a fashionable thing that is going away. When they suddenly realize it's not going away, they joined in a nice big group of banks and lobbied at the AFIR regulation to push that fucking regulation. Which means that finally we are allowing or forcing even more middlemen that want to earn from charging to make the kilowatt hour for everybody, for all the consumers, more expensive.
Yeah. No, and Seb, thank you for highlighting all those things. I want to kind of get us back on track and help people from a saving money point of view, because I know that we could talk about this subject all day long in terms of where that money comes from, and there are differences, as we all know, between Europe and UK, and it's good to hear that the UK have put those regulations in to make it easier from tap and pay, which is great. It's been a bit of a pain, I know, for a lot of the charging companies and infrastructure companies and etc. But obviously, the consumer is the focus here, which is great to make it easier. Because I'm sure Alex, Seb, and myself, we've all had issues at charges before, and I'm sure people watching today. In fact, whack it in the comments any issues you've had with charging and how long you've had to, how many times you've had to put in your payment details or find the app, put the app in, because it's a nightmare, as people know. But how are we going to start saving money? Where is the light at the end of the tunnel?
So the light, I wanted to always give back to the UK with everything that I've learned and everything that you helped me understand, and to see the differences. And then some months ago, I found a guy that said, "Hey, I need your consultant services to understand if this business model, how do you see it? Does it work? Is it okay?" The guy said, "I have been in investment banking for the last 30 years, supporting infrastructure, buying highways, selling highways, buying airports, selling airports, buying ports, selling ports. I now want to feel good with myself and be an example to my kids, and want to invest in infrastructure, but in the green infrastructure for the future, for the good air that I know, Tim, you value so much." And I said, "Well, you need to correct this. These hardware providers are not good. We need a hardware specialist. We need a good charge point management solution. Let's do it." And the idea is peer-to-peer home charging, or what 7 different companies in the UK have tried, the Airbnb of home chargers. The problem is, and I'm gonna make a lot of friends by saying this, but you know that I don't fear that, is that if you don't know about public charging, and if you don't know about semi-public charging, which is not even a thing in the UK, there is no even the word semi-public charging in the regulation for charging in the UK, and you don't know about private charging and how to combine that to make money with that, right? And you build apps at home, in-house, with your best intent, you are missing 4 eras of e-mobility. The first one was, "Hey, yeah, let's do it in-house." The second was, "Hey, I am specialized in doing that. Operating these charge points is hard enough. Keep that. Let me focus on the software part." Then there was the third part, where the second suddenly were very, very big, and then their roadmaps were growing into all directions. "I want this first. No, I want this first. I am a bigger customer than you." Or even from the customer side, "Hey, I pay a shit ton of money. Why are you not developing this feature that I have been asking for?" When that happened, we entered the third era, where mercenaries came up. And it's not mercenaries, and they're not bad or anything. It's just software companies that were specialized in the different protocols, in the different parts of e-mobility. And suddenly these guys realize, "Hey, I've worked for this big one and that big one, and that I've worked for the biggest one in Europe now. I know their strengths and their pain points. why don't we do it ourselves? And now we enter the fourth era where, with help of the mercenaries, the bigger
explain that. Who are the mercenaries in all of this?
The mercenaries are software companies that need to do the solution for one customer of the second wave. The second wave, they said, okay, I do only software, but they grew too much, so they couldn't really focus on anything, and they lost the flexibility because they had so many customers. Once that happened, the mercenaries, I call it the mercenaries, but they are software development firms specialized in e-mobility that helped these to develop either modules for a protocol or a feature, whatever. Right?
You mentioned the Airbnb of charging, so where people can, I suppose, just to clarify for people, if it wasn't clear, is where you can essentially sell your electricity via your own charger on your driveway to other people. And who are the companies that do that at the moment? You said that there are some blockers, and I think we've had this conversation before, but who are the companies out there that do that at the moment?
I don't know them all by heart, but
Connected Energy.
Co-charge, you mean?
I think Co-charge, that's the one I was thinking of.
Co-charge.
Yeah.
There are these companies out there at the moment which allow you to create revenue from your own charger, but you're saying that there are these blockers in the way and they're not doing it properly, in a nutshell, right?
Yeah, I mean, one thing is to offer the possibility to do that, but on the other side, it needs to be, as I said, it needs to be a functioning business. I come from film. As Alex told me, you don't have an engineering. I don't have an engineering. I come from the creative arts and from studying psychology. What you need to do is, it's great that you write a beautiful script. If nobody has interest in seeing your movie, then you don't have a movie. You don't even need to start shooting the movie. You can have beautiful ideas. If you can't make money with them, it's just scribbling on a piece of paper.
What's the blockbuster that we need here, Seb?
So what I am doing here is I want to help fleets and homeowners that have a driveway. And I know that in the UK it is very fashionable even to rent your driveway for big events like theaters or big concerts or a big football game, right? And people have seen, oh, this is great. So I don't really care if you drive an EV or don't drive an EV. Even better, if you don't drive an EV, you're gonna make money out of these idiots driving EVs. I don't care. Or you are an EV driver and you want to have a charger, but these things are expensive and I don't know who to trust. And well, I have somebody that has been in charging for the last 15 years and has been the president of one big charger manufacturer, and then has been chief commercial officer for another company that cared about customer support and remote operating chargers. And I have this brilliant person that happened to sell highways, right? And we came to the conclusion that I needed to find the right piece of software in between. We spent like 2-3 months analyzing 7 charge point management solutions to find the best possible that would adjust to our business model. And our business model is, hey, do you have a driveway? I don't care if you have an EV or don't have an EV, but if you want, I can put a charger on your driveway. I pay for it, and you sell electricity through your charger. And a certain part of this electricity will go to repaying me the investment I did on your home charger, which is a perfect solution for fleet managers, right? Fleet managers who have van drivers that they trust for 10 years, they have absolutely no problem to put the charger at their home. So they leave early morning with a 100% full battery, and they can go to their first job, right? They don't need to drive somewhere like the petrol drivers to fill up the car to then do things, right? But what happens if you have new drivers? Would you still trust them, or will that affect your operations? If you want to repair or paint or whatever you do in your van, but you don't know, or you maybe don't trust that driver, would you make that
concern, Seb? I'm glad you brought this up, because this is a big concern of companies. So I speak to a lot of fleets, and a lot of companies are wary. Okay, we want to electrify or decarbonize, whatever their target is. They want to put electric van, but their drivers take their vehicles home at night, and those drivers, a large percentage, don't have driveways. A large percentage don't want to have their van on the driveway. And then from the company point of view, they're like, well, hang on a minute. We don't want to give this driver, he's only been working for us 6 months. We don't want to invest in £1,000 worth of charger and install for someone who could just drive away. Leave the company. So this is actually a really, really big thing in the fleet world. So if your business that you're working with now can solve this, then fantastic. But let's talk about the figures, because money talks, right? So what's the kind of proposition here in terms of helping people save money, whether they've got an EV or not, generating money?
Yeah, so the charger would be paid back in about 1 year or 2 years, depends on how much we want to increase the price of electricity. We obviously will want them to have the cheapest possible electricity contract, but that's up to them. We can propose them. We cannot force them to have them. The thing is, charging in public, as you said, 70 pence, 60. What we're aiming for is 38, 40 pence at home. Or if you go to a neighborhood that happens to have a host of our company, and you are a commercial driver, and you have registered on our platform, obviously it is a difficult topic. It's my driveway, it's my home. Do I trust these guys? So we need to gather a little bit more of information, because one, I want my money back from the money I invest in the chargers, but I also don't want the homes of our hosts to be somebody drives onto the grass or hits a tree or destroys something in the garden. I don't want that either. So there needs to be a base of trust, and if you don't fulfill that, you won't be able to use our system to do that. Another big thing here is reservation. Something that I notice when I go to the shows, to the fully charged or this big commercial vehicle show in Birmingham. What I notice is, I cannot, like here in Spain, just raise my hand and say, hey, taxi. No, it doesn't work like that. There is no taxi wasting gas driving around. They have a schedule, a reservation system, and they have 10 tasks to do in one day. So it makes sense. But it needs to be ordered. Order, very German, very square. We are not going for the reservation, right? So we don't make a short-term reservation of an Airbnb wherever we go. You go on vacation, you will make a short-term reservation of something that is shortly available. No. You book in advance. First of all, because if you make a reservation with this short-term, it probably is more expensive. Booking, you save a slot. Or maybe, I go and work at that neighborhood where I know this street has one driveway with one charger. I'm gonna block all Thursdays afternoons, because I'm going to spend all Thursday afternoon. So as I, in my week, need to charge my car once or twice, thrice per week, I know where to charge and charge cheaper than if I had to charge at the public charge point operator. I don't have the option for semi-public because there's no semi-public charging in the UK, but this private charger is then almost semi-public.
Okay. And from a, I don't think you mentioned it, but from a company perspective, let's say that they put a charger in for one of their clients, or even personally, if you put a charger in and then it's just not working for them, what's the process after that? Just want to understand the pros, the cons, and the roadmap.
So what is not working? What is exactly not working?
It's not working because let's say someone puts a charger on their driveway. You guys put the charger on their driveway, fit it, and they're not happy with the not necessarily your service, but the type of people that are coming in. They're noisy, they're smoking, they're dropping fag ends. It's not. They're not pleased with the type of people charging, what have you. What's the process for you guys? Do you just remove that charger, or how does that work?
Oh, well, we try to remove the bad drivers. Say, hey, I don't want you to rent my apartment.
So it's like, do they have a star system? Like,
yeah,
okay,
yes.
Okay, yeah.
It's based on trust.
In that way, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. It's based on trust. If I don't trust you, I don't want you to rent my apartment. I had a bad experience. You are not coming back.
So can you set it? Let's say, for example, I want to take advantage, like you mentioned before, take advantage of an EV driver I only want them to charge overnight. I'm with Eon, for example, and from 12 till 7, it's nice and cheap for me. It's like 7p, and I can charge whatever the rate is, like 40p, 30p, what have you. And I think you're quite fixed on the price. Is there a way of only utilizing and selling your electricity to potential customers during that time where there's the biggest revenue gain, or do you have to have it open as much as like the whole sort of 24 hours when you're not charging yourself, if you've got a EV?
So if you are a host and have an EV, the first one to get access to the booking calendar is yourself. You will say, I will obviously want to charge at the cheapest rate, and I am not making money out of yourself. Right? I am putting you a charger and you are using your own electricity, but it is limited to a certain time of certain hours of the week. The rest of the week, you are giving me your driveway to make it available. It's my obligation to find EVs to fill your driveway so that you can get a free charger. I want you to have a free charger.
Yeah,
and I want you to have
how does that work from a practical and operational point of view, if you like? Like, let's say I charge between 12 and 7. I take advantage of my cheap night rate. At like 7 o'clock, do I have to move my car?
Yes.
Okay, so you move it. And what the hours? Do you guys have a specific hours between, I don't know, 8 o'clock and 12 o'clock at night where it has to be available? What's the availability that charger has to have?
The availability for you as a homeowner is you get, depending obviously on your mileage. If you have more mileage, obviously you will need to have 3 days or 4 days or 4 nights, and the rest of the days we will sell the days. But if you need to charge every day, the rest of the hours is where we will focus to make them visible and available to drivers around. The important thing is we have streets with one driveway, but we have neighbors that have looked at your driveway and say, oh, this guy he hasn't given back his EV, or his house has not burned down, or he hasn't exchanged the battery in 3 times now per year. Oh, it seems to work. I want to use that as well. Hey, dear neighbor, come and use my charger. I will share it with you. You will have these other available slots. So we don't have infinite driveways per street. If we had infinite drivers per street, we would need to find a balance there, because obviously if there's 4 drivers and 4 chargers, Difficult to make it work economically.
One of the things we talked about on this is if the future of like residential charging moves into more of it, especially when you've got on-street stuff, where you kind of everyone has their own charger, and everyone with a parking bay near their house, and you plug in 3-4 down. You plug in sometimes outside your own house, sometimes down the street, sometimes next door. You have a system that, I mean, this sounds like the kind of the foundations of something that will work quite well on that as well.
Yes, the problem with lamppost chargers is that
with lampposts, with on street. So the house, the property has its own charger,
turbo charge type.
Yeah,
you know what turbo charge is, don't you, Seb?
Yeah,
like under the gully charging.
Exactly. Gully charging is amazing. It's great, but it needs to park in front of your house, the car in front, or the one back, and you need an extra long cable, right? Because you need to play with it.
But with the system of sharing them, you wouldn't necessarily have to park outside your own house. You could park 3 or 4 houses down and pay to use that charger. So you kind of it seems to me kind of a logical next step, I guess, for this, that it could be quite an interesting way of sort of enabling neighbourhoods to share.
Yeah, we could enable roaming in the UK, the European understanding of roaming. Hey, you have a charger. My company is not ubiquitous, but if we collaborate, maybe I can send you one to your app, and your app can communicate with my chargers. That would be a next desired step, especially by me that have been working in roaming and creating and introducing tariffs for the last 5 years. Yes, that would be a thing to move the Brits out of their walled garden mentality when charging, because there is a very strong territorial feeling. Even when you are when you are a public charge point operator on public streets, there is this territorial game where I am not going to allow you to charge. You need to use my app. Come on. Who cares if the light bulb? If your business is in turning that light bulb on, who cares what light switch you're using? Right? Use mine to turn my light bulb on. Yeah, who cares? Which light switch? And that is a thing that in the last 5 years I had a very to put it on the simplest term, it is a light switch. Who cares? Your business is not in the light switch. Your business is in keeping your lights on. And the biggest problem right now in Europe is in 2023, the median use of charge points in the whole continent went down 1% from 6 to 5% last year. And it's not getting better because how we compete is not very clean. And there is the point where I wanted to speak towards the second topic that Tim spoke. Hey, okay, my company is great. Okay, let's believe that I had the lottery ticket, I had the best idea in the world, and that will solve everything. I don't believe so, because it's a whole charging ecosystem. The problem with the rest of the charging ecosystem is that we have gigantic, beautiful hubs that most of the time stand empty. And I don't know if you have thought about that, but one connector at one charger has the ability of a certain amount of kilowatt hours that it can sell during one day. If you haven't sold that day, they're expired. Bygone, you're not going to sell them ever again. Based on that idea, I am working for the last 10 months with a company called Carica. And her their commercial chief commercial officer, she lives in the UK. And we are trying to get into the UK, but the idea is, what a waste, right? Why do we have here in Spain chargers burning in the sun, ruining their electronics and not being used? Why do we have some chargers at your side of the channel sitting in the rain going, good place to grow moss?
Why? The last Not last 3 months, Seb. We haven't had rain for ages. We're in a massive drought at the moment. But yeah, I catch the grip. Is it because there are? I mean, I think you talked about utilization. So talking about
yes,
like more off-peak benefit rates.
Not even, not even, because one thing is dynamic pricing according to spot market pricing, which is something that I introduced in the Nordics 3 years ago. I helped to introduce in the Nordics 3 years ago. It comes with a I don't know, my users, I don't know if they're smart enough to do that. Guess what? You are very smart to know when to iron your shirt, when to program your washing machine, when to program your dishwasher at home. You don't suddenly go down to your garage, sit behind the wheel of your car and turn like, oh, what is the cheapest time? I don't know, I'm so lost. You don't turn stupid once you're sitting in your garage. Okay, that doesn't happen. So we gave the charge point operators the possibility with a switch, standard tariffs or flexible tariffs. Guess what? Almost 95% of the people stay at dynamic tariffs when they go on public charging. Why? Because it's a big benefit to the charge point operator, but is also a big benefit to the EV driver. If the EV driver knows hour per hour what his electricity is going to cost, and you don't know and nothing changes around, the cheapest, the spot markets, the cheapest is always going to be the dynamic charge point, right? For the charge point operator, it was a big risk. Oh, I'm going to set a tariff for the next 3 months at that price, when the reality of the market is prices fluctuate all the time. So if you set a dynamic price and let's look at the stock market, set stop loss or take profit, right? The bare minimum is this, because I spent this much in cabling, removing earthworks, or however you say it in English, the equipment, and then the software, and then maintenance. Okay, that's my lowest threshold. I cannot go lower than that. Negative pricing at home, maybe I can allow it, but in public, hardware is completely, like, if I pay 1,000 for your home charger, if I pay 30,000, 40,000 for a big charger on the street, that's different. I cannot allow myself to go negative. But yeah, that's not enough. That is quite good. So in the history of pricing models, standard pricing, product pricing, flexible pricing, dynamic spot market pricing, and then we get to what I wanted to get to, is algorithmic smart pricing. If I need to do a tariff based on one variable or two variables, I'm not that smart. I have been putting tariffs for the last 5 years. I might be better than some others, but I cannot control 30 variables. How many people go there? How many people go there on Monday? Is the people going on Monday different than the people on Friday or Saturday? Do I have a heat map? Yes. Or beautiful graphs. That's kind of normal. Everyone, hey, hello CPOs. If your CPMS doesn't have that, contact me, because you have a shitty backend solution. That's kind of normal. But you need to go above that, right? If you want to be smarter than everybody else, you need to include the pricing of your competitors. Oh my God, what did I just say? Now I can compare to the prices of my competitors? Yes. I even know what the occupancy of your charger hour per hour, even in a shorter period of time per hour, is. I know your occupancy by connector, by location, by city. And if you are an international CPO, I can even tell you your occupancy rates compare one country with the other. I know that. And by knowing that, and by knowing other variables, which is the secret sauce, I can offer you to adjust your pricing so that we actively actively push for your occupancy to rise, because everybody has a charge point management solution and they know where it is great and where it is bad. But unfortunately, it doesn't have the flexibility to have the possibility to count 30 variables. And I'm not going to disclose how many, what are these variables, but I can adjust very, very nicely how to increase your occupancy. A big example, I'm going to give you one. One of the top 10 CPOs in Germany, we've onboarded them first days of December. By the 15th of December, their productivity increased by 250%. 15th of January, they were already at 300%, better than before. Why? Because they changed from a simple flat standard tariff to a night tariff. Only by doing that. Is your CPMS capable of doing so? Is your CPMS good for your pricing team? Because there are big pricing teams out there. There are charge point operators and EMSPs with 5 people, even 10, 15 people in pricing. But guess what? They need to do their pricing in their simulators because their backend solutions aren't capable of, oh, that's too risky. Or we need to, everybody in the company, in the board signing off this crazy thing. We're going to price. People get very scared when they try to make smarter tariffs. Let me do them for you.
But does that mean that people have to charge in sort of slightly more? Just to kind of clarify, does that mean that people have to charge public charges at kind of more antisocial times, like overnight and stuff? I mean, it's fine if you're charging at home, or if you've got a charger where it's free overnight and it's on your driveway, so you're renting it out to other people. But if you've got like a DC charger at a fuel forecourt or a car park or a shopping mall or something, it's probably a little bit harder to. How do you manage that? Or are you basically rewarding people to kind of say, look, I know it's midnight, but you might want to come and do a half-hour charge at midnight.
I give you a tool. And it is up to you. Marketplaces are a highly regulated topic in the EU. I can, as a marketplace provider, an end-to-end payment solution that believes in a marketplace model, I cannot force you to do anything. I give you the tools. I will give you insights, or you can confirm with what you get, extract out of your charge point management solution. If my assumptions are correct, you will see that they are, because we get the information from the same sources. So once that is said, yes, if your chargers are empty at 1 a.m., and you want to fill them because at 1 a.m. you usually don't sell shit, well, maybe it's because you have a stupid blocking fee, because you don't have a tariff strategy that pushes for rotation. You don't have a tariff that has, the possibility to maybe lower the power of your charging stations for the promotion of having your charger used the whole night. What is worse than an unused or underutilized charger? It's bananas that are going to rot at the end of the day. You have to eat them now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Utilization is key, and there's a company out there. I'm probably going to mess it up. I think they're called EV sounds a bit like Evian. EVYAN, I think, or AAN. It's a concept where they this is mainly for fleets, where from a utilization point of view. So it's like, okay, how much energy is your fleet going to use, or potentially going to use if they're just about to electrify? Then they go to the CPO and go, look, we can utilize your CPO. They could do that with the Dynamon Zero software that I offer to many companies, where you can understand where the hotspots are for public charging and understand what the utilization is in terms of kilowatt hours, and go to the CPO and go, look, we could utilize your charging stations. This is how much energy we're going to use. look at the timings and all the rest of it, and surely we can have a cheaper rate here. So I think there does need to be more of that collaboration and using that data to understand, your secret sauce and 30 variables to understand, where we can improve the utilization and for people to benefit of cheaper charging. I think I should change the title. I've put how to save money charging your EV. Yes, okay, to a certain extent, there is this way from going to see your CPO at probably more, as Alex said, more antisocial times. But I think from my point of view, and what I always promote is to
discover chargers that you have never known. Like you have you have your routes and your territory, but maybe you have never crossed to the next street where there have been an abandoned sad charger forever and nobody used that one. And what I'm doing is I'm getting you. I have EV routing. So what you mentioned, what you do, Tim, is you have developed with an EMSP background, you have solved for an EV fleet solution. EV fleet solution is I have a bunch of people, like EMSPs do as well, but they are fleets. And as they are fleets, they don't just come once in a while or so. No, they use their cars professionally. So they don't drive 2 or 3% of the time. They drive 12% of the time or 50% of the time during a day. 60% of the day, right? With that mass, you go to a CPO and say, hey, I have that many batteries with 4 wheels and they need charging. I want the cheaper rate. If I don't get it from you, I will go to the next CPO. That's a regular EV fleet solution. What I say with the Karika approach is, hey, EV driver, I know where you come from and where your destination will be. You know how comfortable you feel. So you tell me if you want to charge when the car reaches state of charge 10% or 15 or 20 because you're more insecure. I know if you today are driving like the last, oh my God, what's the name of the last Formula E champion? Oliver Rowland. You guys, come on! You guys have the last Formula E champion from the UK. You feel like Oliver Rowland today to fight, or you have to drive that fast, or I need to drive like a granny because I need to do more things. Okay, that will adjust to how the app behaves, and then everybody that is part of the club can be putting out, like on an Instagram feed, your best offers in that close to that destination, because I know where you want to go. I'm not going to drive you to the other end, so you end up at your final destination, right? I know your route. Okay, so it sounds a little bit like that company with a T. Same experience, right? That dark company. Yeah. So people got used to that experience. So why is that unique? No, sadly it's not unique. You can replicate exactly that. I know the state of charge. I know the consumption of your vehicle. I know your origin and your destination, and I will add all the underutilized chargers. Maybe you know them, maybe you don't, in your route, so that you lose as little time as possible, so that you get to your destination. And if I know B back to A, I can even make the calculation even better, right? I know that you will drive that, so I can adjust what I read out from your car, and I read out also if you feel like Formula E or Granny, right? And then adjust it accordingly. So underutilized, or hey, I feel like doing a Saturday special. There is so there are some CPOs with a very advanced marketing understanding to do specials, to find Easter eggs, or to charge love in Valentine's Day.
I love the fact you said Easter eggs there, naming another tea brand. And I think it's quite important because we're slowly very quickly running out of time here. And I think it's important just to say that all the things that Seb has been talking about today, he does share, and I'm sure we'll very soon share even more on things like LinkedIn. So if you want to share and understand the type of solutions that Seb is talking about, follow him on LinkedIn. Now, you might have noticed that Seb mentioned a T and dark, because Seb's got a very, like, I'm passionate about Tesla. Seb is like the opposite. And I think that at some point we should definitely have a discussion, me and Seb, about that. You know, balanced, listening to each other. I think it's very important. I'm sure we will do that at some point in time.
I'll bring my tux and my bell. I'll be the referee. Yeah.
Yes, I think that's probably a good idea. In fact, I've got my can't see it in the I've got my boxing. Yeah. No, I'm sure it'll be a good chat, Seb, because I'm always open to hearing the ups and downs of the Tesla brand and Elon himself. But yeah, no, Seb, thank you so much for coming on. Alex, is there anything you want to ask Seb before we finish and just do
I just think it's such a big topic, isn't it, at the moment? And also, I mean, there's a sort of a news hook, I guess, on this in terms of as you see in Friday, kind of quietly announced that the UK has now got different mileage rates for when you plug in public and when you plug in at home. It just seems it seems that there's an awful lot of kind of it's interesting seeing how the government's handling stuff like this with regulations and with little things like that, but they don't seem to really fully understand some of the complexities of the pricing of these vehicles, or kind of how much it can vary, do they?
Yes. So one thing is we need to restart what you guys did 7 years ago with your EV experience centers in the UK. That was so helpful, and it is something that I recommend everywhere. To put bots in EVs is the first step towards a closer understanding of EVs. Then pricing, yes, pricing is difficult, and governments need to understand, hey, you're saving in the NHS by promoting this. You are saving in accidents because these cars come with more secure system, more ADAS, more warning, hey, you need to take a break, or hey, you're driving too fast. All these newer cars that's coming on the road, that is helping and supporting that. You guys are lucky.
I would like to add something as well, Seb. I had a bit of a heated discussion with a young lady yesterday and her mum, and this young lady had an MA in something to do with particulate matter, and she said that EVs, I would never buy an EV. They're worse for the environment than a petrol car.
Because it comes from where?
Say again.
Where do the particulate matter come from?
It comes from the tires, and it comes from the brakes. And I explained to her. I said, "Oh, that's interesting, because did you know that electric cars aren't actually much heavier than ICE cars, if at all? And also, have you not heard of regen braking?" And she was just so like closed. I've done an MA. I've done the research. I was like, that's very interesting, because actually, generally speaking, electric cars actually produce less. But she had an MA. She had a master's at university. Yeah. You could not tell this. You could not tell this girl anything, which is an interesting one. So absolutely, from a pollution point of view, but not just from the tailpipe, but from other areas as well, I think is important. But yeah, no, let's wrap this up. But thanks everyone for listening on the X, also YouTube and Spotify when I put it out. And like I said, I'm sure me and Seb will jump back in the ring to talk about our favorite subject, or least favorite, as the case may be. We normally sum up what we're doing this week. So I'm off tomorrow. Hey, it's bank holiday. So I'll be doing something with the kids, probably in the electric car, no doubt. And then working hard in the fleet world with Dynamon, putting a video out as usual on Wednesday, because I was at Silverstone Festival yesterday as part of the Tesla's owners group. And there were a couple of electric cars at Silverstone, but yeah, mainly petrol and loud ones. But yeah, that's me this week. Alex, I'll leave Seb to go last, save the best for last. But Alex, what are you up to this week?
I am working tomorrow. I've got a big project I've got to get through this week. I'm afraid I can't tell you very much more about it, but I've spent this weekend out and about in my car with Kevin. Actually, yesterday I was at Radwood yesterday doing looking back at the 80s and 90s, which was good fun.
Nice.
But yes, this week's a kind of a quiet number crunching project kind of week for me. So
nice. This week.
Next week is going to be all about heavy duty vehicles. I'm going to speak with 2-3 companies that already tested them and saw that they're good, but they're expensive. So I'm going to finance 30 plus electric heavy duty vehicles. I don't care the upper number. If you want me to electrify 1,000 buses, I am all in for it, because I will bring you the vehicles, I will bring you the chargers, and I will bring you the electricity. And I will charge you by kilometer. So even if you have a gigantic logistic fleet, I don't care. And you will care less, because instead of paying your full price, you will now, if I control all the variables and you are doing what I tell you to do with these trucks, you will drive for 50% of that price. So your customer's logistic person transporting food, for example, will have cheaper food, or whatever you transport. So that's what I'm going to do next week.
Well, if you haven't seen it, I did a video on LinkedIn Friday with our simple estimator TCO. I'd love to show you our precise model, because that might be, I don't know, you might already have a TCO, but I'd love to show you our extensive one, because it's a new thing that we've just put out with Dynamon Zero software. So maybe I'll show you that another time. But and I had one more thing to add, actually. Been working on the TVR, which is just there. We've been ripping out a load of stuff, and we are making progress. So I put a bit of footage on the shorts on the YouTube. So yeah, I think it's 2026 now, people. I'm not going to lie to you. So, but we'll get there. But thanks everyone for listening and commenting. Please share and like. Don't forget Spotify. And thanks again, Seb, for joining us today. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Greetings from Spain.